Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Main Streets podcast. I'm William Galloway, joined with Britton Johnson, and we're going to give you a quick 10-minute preview of Alabama Duke taking place this evening in the Elite Eight. It's Alabama's second trip in as many years, and it's Alabama's third Elite Eight appearance in program history. Of course, 2004, 2024 last year, and now 2025. BJ, Alabama coming off the heels of a 113-88 Religious Crusade victory over the BYU Cougars, and the Religious Crusade continues. How you doing?
Fantastic. I think I'm still recovering from being on cloud nine from that BYU game. I don't know what the Mormon equivalent of cloud nine would be, but whatever that is, it was that. So, um, absolutely unbelievable showing. I think the last 10 minutes of game time or 12 minutes of game time, I was literally just like laughing audibly as we kept hitting threes. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't remember having more fun watching a basketball game.
It was one of those games where you keep hitting shots and you're like, all right, law of averages, right? And that's what the BYU coach said at halftime, but really it never stopped. And so for you watching that as a three-point guy yourself, I mean, how fun is that? Because 25 threes obviously sets an NCAA tournament record. And people want to say, well, that's fantastic. That they shot so many shots, they made so many threes. That is a dream for Nate Oates, I feel like. And you've been in that locker room, been on that team, and that, especially in a Sweet 16 tournament game, is really what I feel like he's all about.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a misnomer about this team and that we're so 3-point reliant in the response to this game. But I mean, it was really a game where we just took what they gave us and then they let us get hot and we just were shooting with great confidence. I mean, I've never seen a worse game plan by a team going into a game like that. And that's no disrespect to BYU, but going under every screen on Mark Sears, Nathan Holloway, and everybody on our team. I can't come up with a logical reason as to why they would do that. Um, their strategy was truly to let us shoot threes and hope we missed. And I get it if you're a 15 seed that's just trying to hope we have a cold day and maybe they can beat us that way. But BYU is a really competitive, great offensive team. Um, I think it really speaks to how afraid teams are of our paint attack and our ability to penetrate the paint and either throw lobs or get to the rim. Um, but no, as far as how fun that is, I mean, that's what you dream about when you're a guy like Mark Sears or Aiden Holloway is the ability to get loose um, and shoot with just great confidence and be hot. I mean, that'll be a day regardless of how this tournament run ends, that they'll remember for the rest of their lives because it's the most freeing feeling you feel as a basketball player of I'm doing what I'm best at with total confidence and total freedom. So and just like everybody, I mean, I think Aiden Terrell made two. Just like everybody was making them. It was so much fun to watch.
I'm looking at the schedule this year, and Alabama went over. This is from the Game Nuggets and Steven Gonzalez. Alabama went over 90 points for the 20th time this year. And now I look back at the 100-point mark because we scored 113. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think nine of those 20 games, Alabama was also over 100 points. And so just a phenomenal stat there. Duke and John Shire, I listened to a press conference. No, Alabama is a firepower team, and we'll talk about this game. We're trying to do a quick 10-minute preview here. But any closing thoughts? Because when you look at that win over BYU, statistically, the law of averages does set in. And two nights later, you're probably not going to hit 25 threes. Please clip this and post it if I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong and
Old
see us
takes
hit 26.
exposed.
But this is a much deeper and different style Duke team. And so, Britton, if you're Nate Oates in Alabama, what do you take from the offensive performance, maybe the lack of the defensive performance, and what do you apply to tonight as we get ready for Duke?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've heard, which I truthfully think is dumb, are people saying, "Oh, they're wearing out all their makes in this game. That they're going to come in this game." It's not that if we shoot poorly today, I just think it has no bearing on how we shot 2 days ago. But you know, everyone who's been following Alabama knows how poorly Market shot the ball in the 5 or 6 games prior. A few other guys had kind of been struggling or not fully uh, just shooting with confidence, and so if anything, that just really boosts your confidence. It does again. may not have any reflection on how we shoot tonight, but it allows you to shoot with a lot more confidence and play with a lot more confidence. And I think when you're playing a team like Duke, who is arguably the best team in the country, they're right now the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. You have to be really confident in yourself and your abilities, and that you know everyone in the world saying we're an underdog, and truthfully, we might be in some sense, but our team is fully confident that if we play our A game, we're better than Duke. And so it's such a freeing feeling when you know that your best is good enough to beat their best. And we'll see. So that's what we're going to roll out and see tonight, I guess.
Obviously, Cooper Flagg headlines the names for Duke. He's had a phenomenal season. He and Mark Sears, I think, are averaging, what is it, right around 19 points a game. But Flagg leads their rebounding and assists, 7.5 and 4.3. We know the name John Shire, you know the program Duke, but in terms of this matchup being a blue blood versus new blood, Alabama has faced tremendous competition all season long, and John Shire didn't shy away from the fact that Duke's a good program. They're a good team, but I feel like he was a little bit, how do we say, not disrespectful, but when he looks at Alabama's schedule, he wasn't that complimentary of it. And so, not that Alabama is more or less prepared, but Alabama certainly had a harder road to get here, not just in the NCAA tournament, but in the grand scheme of things, start to finish, going all the way back to November. Alabama's schedule has been extremely challenging. So they're built for this moment, but as is Duke, right? They're there almost every year, seemingly. And so when you look at this matchup and what Alabama has done to get here, how do you apply that to this headline game?
Kind of the same thing as, what I said just a minute ago of when we're playing this Duke team, yes, we haven't played them, but we've played, how many of the other teams that are in the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, you can go on and on. We have played, three of the other 3 1 seeds. We've played a number of the 2, 3, and 4 seeds. We have played the toughest schedule in the country, and that doesn't guarantee you any wins in March. But what it does is when you play a team like Duke, there is not an ounce of intimidation. You're not scared to go play a Duke team because they're so great. But instead, you're like, we beat Auburn at Auburn. We've beaten some of these. We beat Houston. We've beaten some of these really, really great teams, and we've gone toe to toe with the others. And so there's no part of us that's like, do we belong? We totally know we belong. And so, if anything, all the pressure in this one's on Duke to prove that they belong. And so, I think Duke's a phenomenal team. It's going to be an awesome game. And what I love about it, which makes me so excited, is we're going to get Duke's best shot, right? This isn't one of those round of 32. We might be kind of sneaking up on Duke or this high seeded team. They know full well that Alabama is capable of knocking them out, and they see us as the biggest challenge to them winning a national title right now. And so, we're going to get their best, and that's such an exciting feeling that if we can beat them at their best when we're getting kind of the entire force of their team, what a statement win that would be for the program.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the X's and O's matchup wise. How do you slow down Flagg? How do you limit some of their talent? And what does Duke have to do to limit Alabama offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think Oates said it really well in regards to Cooper Flagg. He is a stud, and what you can't, he's going to score. What you cannot have happen is him have the 20 plus points, but also have 7, 8, 9 assists and the however many rebounds and the however many fouls drawn on the opponent. You got to kind of limit him to just, okay, he's going to get his 20, but we're not going to let anyone else get off and get theirs. And so I think that will be the challenging part because they've been playing awesome across the board. Sion James, Sion, I believe is how you pronounce it. Tyrese Proctor have both been awesome. Maluach has been unbelievable at the rim. His standing reach is insane. They have what's so cool about this game is you have the 2 deepest teams in the country in terms of the 1 through 8 man depth. Evan Maya rated these 2 as the top 2, and so these are 2 phenomenal squads. I think they're going to present some challenges to our offense in terms of how physically they play on defense, how connected they are, and their size. I think our front court is probably larger than theirs, but obviously we have Mark and Aiden and some of these smaller guards, LeBaron's kind of in that group. whereas Sion James is like 6'6", and Tyrese Proctor is like 6'5", 6'6". So we are going to be playing against a very big team. So I think what's going to be incumbent upon us is we got to get out in transition and we got to dictate the pace of the game. If the game is played on our terms and is a transition up tempo back and forth game, I actually really like our odds. We'd have to win on the boards. We'd have to shoot it pretty well and just play a level game. But I like our odds to do it. Whereas if it turns into a slow down half court game and we let them get into all their actions and all that, it's gonna be really tough. I think we're gonna throw a lot of bodies at Cooper. I think between you're gonna have Grant on him, you get the great white on white matchup that we've all been waiting for. Uh, you got Mo D. We're gonna throw at him. I think we're gonna throw some Jaren at him, which I think is great. I think Jaren honestly might be the X factor in this game because he is 6'11" or whatever he is, but can guard and move like a guard, and so that's what you need to match up with a guy like Cooper. But we're gonna have some dudes step up. That it's I could say this about any Elite Eight game though. You have to have some dudes that step up beside your stars, and so I'm expecting Mark and Grant to play well and to rise to the occasion. It's the question of who's going to step up besides them. And so if we can get a full cast of guys who are playing really good basketball, I think that our best is as good as anyone's.
You answered my next question because I was going to ask about boldness from making a prediction on who's going to be the guy, right? You look at Alabama's run last year, and there was somebody, in every round, and that's kind of been it and the case this way this year. So you jumped ahead on my question, which I appreciate. Britton, quick hitter for you before we go out, and I do want to say this quick nugget. I am so pleased with the way the tournament has ended up this year. You look at these Elite Eight teams, and I think you and I would be obviously we want a specific team to win, and we want a specific team to not win. But looking at the
Mm-hmm.
field, I think you and I could put our heads to the pillow in the beginning of April and say if a certain 7 of 8 teams win, this was a heck of a tournament, and
Absolutely.
you're ending up with the best 8 teams, right? There's no Cinderellas. There's not going to be any what we presume 20-point blowouts from here on out. The Sweet 16 had some fantastic games. Um, even some teams making a little noise, right? But it is mainly chalk. We talked about that in previous podcasts. So I just want to give a nod to the tournament and how well things have played out this year. It's not always going to be full of upsets, but that doesn't mean there can't be good basketball towards the end of the tournament that we're seeing right now. All right, my quick hitter for you is this: your dog's name is Duke. You grew up a Blue Devil. You played at Alabama. We've talked about this in years gone by on this podcast, but is there an ounce of blue in your closet tonight? Or are you bleeding crimson through and through?
No, I've actually been asked this a lot. Like, I think the second I got to Alabama, and I loved Alabama too, but it was, it didn't feel like I was cheering for two teams that were on the same plane when I was growing up, in terms of the level of success. But as soon as I got to Alabama, like it's not that I necessarily hated Duke or anything. I just kind of like stopped caring. And so ever since then, I've been bleeding crimson through and through. I always kind of have, but just, I guess less so. I've been a Duke fan. And so, yeah, being the Duke fan from Mountain Brook, who also loved the Tide, probably didn't make for the greatest combination of likableness growing up. But
Yeah, but
um,
nobody else played basketball at Alabama, so you do have that going for you too.
yeah, and I could not be preying on Duke's downfall more tonight. So the shame of it is this actually really is, and you know, I think there's a really likable Duke team on the scale of Duke teams that have been good. They don't have the hateable factor that some of these other ones have had, but so I'm having to conjure up some hate from deep down in my soul tonight. Um, but no, I want Alabama to win by 60. I want all of their players to cry. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
your
it's
your
how it
fandom
works.
is hitting. This
Yeah.
is good.
And so I couldn't be more balled in on the Tide tonight.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I appreciate everybody checking out our quick day of game preview, Alabama versus Duke in the Elite Eight. It's so exciting to say that because as Alabama fans, we struggled through watching players who we will not name in previous Alabama teams, from the decades gone by in our lives. And obviously, Alabama had a great run in the 80s and the 90s, and historically, it's the second winningest program in the SEC. But Alabama is on a run like we've never seen before. So, with all that being said, we're obviously fired up for the Elite Eight game tonight. Britton, we're going to leave you with the last word. Alabama and the Elite Eight. What you got?
let's get it done. I mean, today has the chance to be the greatest day in Alabama basketball history, and kind of we had it last year, but this is doing it against a blue blood. So just the crowning moment of what we've been building over 6 years. So enjoy every second of it, and let's get it done. Roll Tide.